In a quiet suburban neighborhood, the Robinson family had recently moved into a charming, old Victorian house. It was a picturesque place with a lush garden and a spacious, but somewhat eerie, basement. It was the basement that had always given people in the neighborhood an unsettling feeling, but the Robinsons were undeterred. As the family settled into their new home, odd occurrences began to unfold. At first, it was just a flickering light in the basement, and the sound of faint whispers that they dismissed as their imagination. But the disturbances escalated quickly. One evening, as they gathered for dinner in the cozy kitchen, a blood-curdling scream echoed from the basement. Mr. Robinson rushed downstairs, only to find nothing amiss. He attributed the scream to the settling of an old house. However, their son, Tommy, began having recurring nightmares. He would wake up, drenched in sweat, and claim he saw shadowy figures in the basement, whispering his name. His parents tried to reassure him, but the fear in his eyes was undeniable. Mrs. Robinson, a practical woman, decided to investigate the basement herself. The room was dimly lit and filled with an odd assortment of antiques and dusty furniture. As she walked deeper into the basement, she felt a sudden drop in temperature and heard the faint whispers that Tommy had described. Mrs. Robinson couldn't ignore the eerie feeling that washed over her. She followed the sound of the whispers to a hidden door, concealed behind a dusty bookshelf. The door, which appeared untouched for decades, creaked open to reveal a narrow, winding staircase leading further down into darkness. With trepidation, Mrs. Robinson descended the stairs, the whispers growing louder and more distinct. She reached a small chamber at the bottom, illuminated only by a dim, flickering light. There, in the center of the room, stood a mirror that seemed to radiate an ominous aura. Mrs. Robinson's reflection in the mirror began to distort and twist into grotesque shapes, and the whispers turned into anguished cries. The mirror's surface seemed to ripple, and a shadowy figure emerged, stretching its bony hand towards her. Panicking, Mrs. Robinson fled back up the stairs, slamming the hidden door shut behind her. The basement's whispers grew louder, and the entire house seemed to vibrate with an unearthly energy. The shadowy figures began to manifest in other parts of the house, their presence felt by every family member. Terrified and desperate, the Robinsons called upon a local paranormal expert, who revealed that the basement was a gateway to the spirit world. The mirror had acted as a conduit for the restless spirits, who had been trapped there for years. With a series of rituals and incantations, the expert managed to appease the vengeful spirits and sealed the basement's hidden door once and for all. The Robinsons, shaken but grateful, never ventured into the basement again. The old Victorian house retained its haunting reputation, a chilling reminder that some places held secrets better left undiscovered, and that the basement's hidden terrors were to remain locked away in darkness.